So he believed that God wanted him to give $100,000 to the building fund. Personally. He didn't have $100,000. He's a pastor. About the time the situation came where they were to pony up, he got a contract for a book called The Purpose-Driven Church, which is before The Purpose-Driven Life. You know what the advance was for The Purpose-Driven Church? $100,000. I would have had a problem because I would have said, Lord, I believe this is mine, but you're going to send more for your commitment.
That's why he sent it the other way.
That's why I didn't get it and I didn't write the book. And then there's first fruits in the giving. Honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first fruits of your increase, so that your barns will be filled in plenty and your vats will overflow with new wine. I should give to God first. In America, the way we deal with giving is, let's pay our bills, and then we look at the checkbook and go, oh, Lord, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. And then planning and giving. It's the whole idea of thinking it ahead, and that makes it a discipline. On the first day of the week, let each one of you lay something aside, storing up as he may prosper, that there be no collections when I come. But no, on the first, set aside, laying aside, working through it. And I would say that tithing is a good place to start, but it is not the end-all, be-all. I would rather you started giving at 4% of your income with the idea I'm going to grow in that, as opposed to I'm going to give 35% of my income. Great. 2 weeks later, Pastor, can you help me with the mortgage? So that's a good place to start, but not a good place to end. Ultimately, we want to grow. We want to give more. Genesis 4:19-20 says, this is before the principle of tithing in the book of Exodus. Before any of that, and we're not under the law in Exodus anymore, but this is before that, there's this Melchizedek, who's a priest of Salem, and Abram comes to him, and he says to Abraham, blessed be Abram of God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And then it says Abraham gave him a tithe of all. And then principle number 5, giving faithfully is the key. It's required in stewards that a man be found faithful. What one wants to be is faithful, not bang, 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 there I'm gone. God also loves a cheerful giver. What does it say? So let each one give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver. Now that doesn't mean if you can't give cheerfully, don't give. It means get yourself cheerfully. Work on yourself. Pastor, I'd love to give, but man, I got attitude. Maybe next month. It means the goal is to get your heart straight. But if you at this present moment are going to give and your kids are going to go without food, you know, depending on your children, you know, my kids, well, they can go without a meal too. No.
You're going to be out of your house.
I'll be out of my house. What I'm saying is you shouldn't give grudgingly. You shouldn't resent giving. You know, give at a point where you're not resenting it. If you're resenting it, then probably what the case is you don't quite understand all that God has done for you. So you work through that. And then God will give it to you if He can get it through you. We think that the reason we work is to have stuff. But look what it says. Let him who stole steal no longer, but rather let him work or labor, working with his hands, what is good. Why do you work with your hands? That you may have something to give to someone who has need. Those who sow sparingly will reap sparingly. God will meet our needs. This is one of the greatest verses in all of the Bible. Philippians 4:19-20. But it's one of the most misquoted. This verse is quoted by people who give nothing. I say to you today, my God.
Yes.
I say, my God. I say, my God will supply all. Do I have a witness? All your needs.
Yes.
According to His riches and glory.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. But the Apostle Paul gives this promise. The Apostle Paul, under the direction of the Holy Spirit, gives this promise to who? The Philippians, who have just given again and again and again to his work at Thessalonica out of their poverty. They're bleeding. And he says, my God will supply all your need. It is possible to be robbing God. It says, will a man rob God? Yet you've robbed me. But you say, in what way have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. The picture there is the temple was neglected in the book of Malachi. It's the same scenario as in Nehemiah 13. And the apostle, or excuse me, and the prophet Malachi, or as some call him the Italian prophet Malachi, says, you know, you've robbed God. How? Tithes and offerings. Are you crazy? You're supposed to take care of the house of God. You chose not to. Oh my goodness. You're crazy. Next week, we'll look at the problems in our giving. We have like 3 minutes left for questions. All of you who take this for credit, you actually get 10s today on your quizzes. Yeah, because it's, you know, President's Day weekend. You get no 10 on you because you didn't take it for credit. Get nothing, Larry, nothing. Any questions before we end this lesson tonight?
Well, I don't know.
You all got this down?
That last statement, I have a problem with.
The problems?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm having a problem with that on this side of the cross. Why? Because I believe that as sons of God, heirs of Christ, joint heirs with Him, that me as a son, if I rob from God, I'm robbing from myself. It's like my son stealing what he has around the house. He's robbing from himself because what I have is his.
Does it make it better if you rob from yourself?
No, it's stupid.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's nearsighted. So I think I need to understand that what I have is God's. Belongs to Him, belongs to me. So I have a problem with that particular verse on this side of the cross.
Well, I think the principle on this side of the cross is that when I have not given priority in the issue of giving, and I have chosen not to give, instead of use the word rob, use the word cheat. You've cheated God's house, and who have you cheated? Yourselves. You've cheated the ministry that you're involved in. You've bet against yourself.
And the blessing that would have come.
The blessing that would have come, but I mean the blessing that would come to. Say it this way: people say, "Well, I'd like my church to be this." But how about giving? But the difficulty then is, who are you cheating? You're cheating yourself out of the church that you would have if you give.
But I think, sorry, if I
It's
could.
like you work for your father and you rob him. Like, you know, it's your family, but you take the money for yourself.
Some people beat their kids that steal from them. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, that's,
So, sometime a prophet will say things. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that took a lot for her to keep quiet.
Sam, what were you saying?
Can't help but
I'm
speak.
just tired, man.
You just be you by yourself, you know?
I'm just tired in the
You guys are terrible. I mean, this is just a terrible.
I know you tried. Pastor,
Yes,
I have a question.
Larry, I will have an answer. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get another. I'm trying to get another video, Larry, for you.
Well, okay, but
Oh my gosh.
I'm sort of pondering what Sam said. But what happens is, with a spiritual giving, it's like if I don't have the money,
Okay.
and I'm not a guy that's gonna say, "Oh Lord, please, you know, we're gonna do this, that, the other, and we don't have any money." That's not the way I do it. I think I mean,
Well, you have to ask God to give you the way to have the money.
Okay. Well, that's true. That's true. But sometimes God doesn't answer the way we want Him to answer.
I take
Yeah.
that into account. That's fine.
What I'm trying
I'm
to.
thinking is like reality. I don't believe in that the way some pastors dollars through the TV, and I think people are stupid to give to that cause.
Well, I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree. But I think the principle, when they yell, you're robbing God, and well, you're going to get it.
Well, you have to have discernment there.
Right, right. But I think that the principle stands, that it is possible. The house of God was neglected in Malachi. It's also in Nehemiah 13. It's the same text. They're about the same situation. So the house of God is neglected, and what's happened? The Levites went home. Why'd they go home? Because they ate and lived either on the land that they were farming or from the house of God. So what had happened? The house of God had been robbed. And how was it robbed? Well, they didn't come in and take money. They just didn't give money. So what I'm trying to say is that don't get too spiritual about it. It's not that spiritual. It is reality. It's that, it's money.
It is, yeah.
It's money. Now, when I was teaching a bunch of guys who were from the Bowery the other day at New York School of the Bible, and they said, well, we don't have no money to give. And I said, well, don't tell me you're going to give your service and that replaces the money, because it doesn't. I said, guys, I'm not arguing with you about whether you have money or not. It doesn't replace it. But I'm going to give 10% of my service. That's great. That's a good thing to do. But it doesn't replace the money. So at the end of the thing, the guy came up and gave me $5 for Haiti. Well, that's probably all he had. But I'm saying that what I was trying to get, the point I was trying to get across is there is a real simple reality. It's just very simple, is that if we do not take care of the house of God, I'm not talking about just the pastor, I'm talking about the finances to run a house of God, then it doesn't get done. It doesn't get done. We believe in Christianity in something that I call magic. So we think, we got a new roof. That was magic.
Right.
No, that was money. Well, look, the sidewalk's clean. How'd that all happen? It's magic. It was the power of God. No, it was money. How did we get a new kitchen? Well, a lot of guys worked hard, but
Still had to pay.
when I went over there, they asked me for money for those cabinets. I said, no, you don't. I know Sam Autry. They said, no, you're going to need money for the cabinets. Really? There's just that reality of it. All right. So, yes. Go ahead.
I was just thinking, I heard somebody say once that you can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. And I think if that's where your heart is, then you'll find the money. The money will just, you'll
Right.
fit it into your budget.
I don't disagree with you, but what I'm trying to teach here is a discipline that you say, okay, this is the way. Say it this way. In the Old Testament, this is probably the most helpful thing I can say to you. In the Old Testament, they kept the Sabbath. When you kept the Sabbath, what were you saying? You were saying that I can do in 6 days what the rest of the world takes what? 7 days to do. In the Old Testament, they have the tithe. What are you saying in the tithe? I can do with 90% what it takes the rest of the world 100% to do. We don't believe that you have to tithe to be spiritual, but we take the principle and we export it to the New Testament, and it's a trust in God issue. Where what I'm saying is, okay, I'm going to do without this. The rest of the world needs all this to live. I'm going to do without this. God's going to make up the difference. It's a faith activity. I think that's a critical point to have.
That's why I think all giving as a Christian is spiritual.
Yes.
All giving is spiritual. Once you understand the concept that you are a spiritual person, what you have belongs to God, not you. Right. When you understand that God sets the authority regarding money and finances and so forth, I need to learn how to balance my checkbook, I need to know how to work, all of it is all spiritual.
It's all spiritual.
And remember, 100% of it is God.
That's it.
He's allowing you, he's going to bless you with that 90 days he's going to let you keep. You just